Hello, welcome to SoGoodReviews.com and SleazyCaveVideo.com, and we take a look at two movies really this week, Jungle Heat and Last Breath. And it's mostly known and seen as Jungle Heat, and this gory war action out of Taiwan was also released as Last Breath in a distinctly different version, prepared at the same time or close at the same time. Remember to watch Chin Han's facial hair disappear and reappear. And it follows a group of men enlisting to participate in the Vietnam War effort in the safe capacity of supply truck drivers. And in Jungle Heat we have footage starring Flash Gordon star Sam Jones. The enlisting involves being trained by his character Gordon before heading out into the gory horrors of war. And Jungle Heat and Last Breath, it's not a case of footage being spliced into Jungle Heat, for instance, as the Asian cast is seen in these very scenes. And while once past the training point, the movies follow the same path in essence, and both do in a flimsy way as well. But it's interesting looking at the editing decisions for a few reels, and this was all done in order for the movie to sell internationally, really. And it's a movie up for huge criticism, but also one that pushes the buttons markets will sit up and notice. Sales may come via key scenes, and this production will and should forever be remembered fondly for these key scenes. Worth noting are some key differences in structure and how explicit each edit ultimately is with its key story elements, starting with the fact that Last Breath shows these various men enlisting in the army for a promised huge payday, while Chin Han in Jungle Heat simply gathers his crew for training before entering the hell they were not told about. And we're not talking cinema by any stretch of the imagination that it's good, and it's not particularly exciting or thrilling, the relatively short sequence involving a very relaxed Sam Jones in the Jungle Heat edit. Last Breath, however, gets much of its business done quickly, even via montage, before sending out and killing a character or two here and there that we never get to know, including Chen Xing. And herein lies the problem and kind of also the acceptance of Jungle Heat Last Breath at the same time. We never get to know these characters, and no actor can rely on a star presence to help us forget that very fact. You know, we have some undertones of the futile war effort, cynicism, and most of the characters being in Vietnam all for financial gain. But we're not talking a dramatic foundation and a thematic foundation that works as a drive for even basic drama. Yet it all rocks sporadically. Because horrors of war means highly gory horrors of war and sadistic horrors of wars at points in this movie, showcase the most in the scene anyone will remember when watching this movie, and what surely got buyers on board when facing the prospect of buying this movie. Of course, we're talking about the acid in the brain scene at the hands of Fan Mei Sheng's character, and here's where the technical excellence on a rough scale shines, as this horrific scenario actually receives a surprising amount of on-screen execution done with finesse. Grit, the war look, and ware-gore comes together in stunning fashion here, and even subsequent water torture, harsh uses of saws, fingers getting shot off, jolts you perfectly, which triggers a forgiving mode in the viewer, or should really, that will ultimately dominate your mind once finished. But also ultimately via both edits of the movie and their respective choices, which are rearranging of scenes, alternate events, fairly minor stuff when you compare the two. We get very little sense of a coherent product in these edits, and less so in Jungle Heat actually, that ejects large parts of Dorian Tan's romance with a bar girl and the tragedy looming around that. And a final real tragedy in the Jungle Heat edit therefore comes out of nowhere, as little of Dorian Tan's footage is intact. And it's part of a cluelessness that resides in both versions of the film, but thankfully the effects crew had a clue. And the sellers did as well. That's why Jungle Heat / Last Breath frustrates, thrills, disgusts, and is to be admired.